I'm James Brierton in Charlotte. Welcome to the Carolina Weather Group. It's July 10th. We are tracking a tropical threat for the Carolinas. What will it look like? Our team is here with the latest forecast analysis plus ongoing drought in the Carolinas. Well, these two things might just help each other out. It is July 10th, 2024, and a brand new edition of the Carolina Weather Group starts right now.
Well, good evening. Oh, I thought I was supposed to lead.
Should I be talking too? Should all three of us be talking at the same? Are we supposed to be harmonizing?
Yes.
La, 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 la. I got totally distracted because the restream was really slow, at least on my side. So
it's okay. Yes, what were you going to say, James, before I interrupted you?
It's July 10th, 2024, and we are streaming to you live on Facebook, YouTubes, and the interwebs.
The interwebs, the internet. Oh man! So we have a lemon watch out there. I think that's the new term for this year when we start talking about.
I wasn't familiar with that term.
Yeah, it was the lemon, the orange, and then I don't know what we call red. Maybe strawberries or apples, but yeah, we have a lemon watch or a yellow X right off the southeast coast this evening. We had to go absolutely one day before we had to mark up the old tropical map once again. And this one actually a little bit closer to home. Gratefully, ungratefully, I don't know. We need the rain around here.
We do.
It's going to bring rain for some people, very little people, and not a lot of rain for anybody else. Like here along the coast, we are thankful for this system that looks like it's going to bring maybe 1 inch to 3 inches of rain along the Grand Strand and into portions of the PD. But once you get back to where Frank's at in Columbia, up to where James is at in Charlotte, and then into the mountains and foothills of Western North Carolina, not really expecting a lot of rain out of the system. So, gentlemen, I know the drought has been bad. We've been talking about this rapid onset drought for a couple weeks and just how dry and hot it's been. So this yellow X is going to be a little low pressure system that rides up the coast and kind of brings rain, the heaviest of rain, just off of the coast. And that rain will extend back to about Interstate 95 for South Carolina into North Carolina. So if you live in Wilmington, over towards the Outer Banks, into the Greenville area, New Bern area, back towards Florence, Myrtle Beach, Lumberton, maybe even. That's kind of where the zone we're watching for the best chance of seeing rainfall. Then once you get into the Midlands of South Carolina, where Frank's at, and the Piedmont of North Carolina, where James is at, we may get a little bit of rain, but gentlemen, not a lot of rain.
I mean, the only real upside to this, besides the fact that it's not going to be terribly strong, right? It's just going to bring a lot of that rain that we keep talking about. Is when you look at last week's drought monitor, you can see we have areas of the Carolinas that are now in that severe drought. That's a D2. If you're watching with us online, you can see Eastern North Carolina, some portions of Eastern and Central South Carolina. Now, we did get over the holiday weekend, one day had like 2.5 inches of rain here in Charlotte. That's not reflected in this data yet. That will be reflected in the update that comes out later on this week. But one way or the other, my lawn will take the free rainfall, and I know a lot of farmers will as well too. And I think, Frank, you were saying the creek by you in Columbia is bone dry. Is that right?
That's right. There's no water flowing in it. There are some puddles here and there. And this is the one, if you follow me on Twitter, you see me post videos of it flooding. Well, there's no point in showing a video because there's no water in it right now, except for a few puddles here and there. In some places, it is just dry. Not even the soil at the bottom of it's wet.
Scotty, what about you?
Oh, man, it is completely dry here. We have a little pond in front of my apartment here, and it is down a couple of feet. And then you just kind of drive throughout the Grand Strand. I went and played golf today burned up from that. We can talk about that later on. It was extremely hot and humid today. But I was actually talking to some of the golf course folks down here, and they are actually having to ration their water. Like, do we decide to water the greens, the fairways, the tee boxes? What are we going to water? Because they have a limited amount with the water amount, or the water ponds and stuff at the golf courses. So a lot of these ponds are really getting dry, and so the golf course is being affected by this as well. A lot of the farmers, I think, Frank, you jump in if I'm missing something, but I think it was mentioned over the last couple of days from the South Carolina drought board.
Right. That's a part of the.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember
is,
the exact name of the committee.
Yeah, the coordinator for that is the climate office here.
Yeah. So peanuts, cotton, soybeans, all three crops that they're expecting to see some impacts from these dry conditions. And we've been seeing pictures float around on social media from the Little PD and the PD River back into inland Horry County, back into like Florence County, Marion County, where it's not a trickle or a puddle like Frank was saying his pond was, but it's very low, and there's a very low water flow going through those areas. So it's pretty bad here.
The little PD right now is more like the micro PD, like the little PD creek. Basically,
that's a good way to put it. It looks like a creek.
Yeah, there's hardly any water in it right now.
Yeah,
and it's understandable because over there in the PD, it's been even drier than here in the Midlands. And, I complained that we're in a drought here, and we've seen that my place has probably had 1.5 inches of rain since the 1st of May. But it's been even drier over to the east, and like Marion County and Florence County, eastern Sumter County, that general area. It's been just extremely dry in those areas, and the farmers are hurting bad over there.
Certainly.
They are. And last I looked, and I've been off the last couple of days, so these numbers will change just a little bit because of the rainfall that you put into daily accounts and stuff. But a good 2 to 4 inches here along the Grand Strand of being behind normal rainfall, and then you could add like 4 to 6 inches behind normal up into the PD region. So it's pretty dry, and I've been telling people the only way to get out of this, unfortunately, is one of those tropical systems. Thankfully, this yellow blob that we have off the coast isn't going to turn into anything.
No, it's
major.
like a perfect amount of what we probably need.
Yeah, and you will honestly probably need a couple of those to kind of just recover to where we should be for this time of the year. So,
sure, I just mean luckily it's not going to be a strong system. It's not going to cause problems.
Yeah, no wind, no storm surge, nothing crazy like that. Just some beneficial rainfall.
Right. Yeah. We don't expect this is going to be. Think in terms of remember Tropical Storm Colin from a couple years ago.
I do not, which is probably good news that I don't remember.
Okay, good. You don't remember it, which is what this thing is going to be like. It's you'll only really remember it for the rain. If there's any surge, it won't be worth really worrying about. Probably. I mean, weird things happen, but sometimes, but it probably won't this time. There might be some gusty winds in a small area if it winds up to if it actually becomes a tropical cyclone. The waters are pretty warm right off our coast. Map you're looking at there is percent of normal rainfall over the last 60 days. And you can see that those red areas, let me scroll down a bit so you can actually see the key here. Those red areas are less than 40% of normal. We have some areas that are less than 30% of normal over southeastern North Carolina and in the PD region and far eastern Midlands of South Carolina. Those areas are just desiccated right now. And it's real dry over here in the Midlands, too. Areas are 1/2 to 2/3 of normal rainfall. Mountains are pretty dry as well. Upstate South Carolina, north of 85, and then over into the North Carolina mountains, and in some cases the foothills, too, are also pretty dry.
Yeah, it is. And our station, there's the PD River. Our station here today actually talked to some farmers and kind of got the impacts expected there. So we can share that on our social media page. But we definitely need some rain around here. And so hopefully this system that comes up on Friday will start that trend of seeing some more rain into the area. So we'll keep and you can see here from the Raleigh weather forecast office, and you can really see the dividing line of the who's and the who have nots of rain You just draw Interstate 95 down from Raleigh to Fayetteville and go to the east of that, and that's where you're going to see a good portion of this rain.
Remember earlier when I said that my lawn would happily take the free rain? That's like 1/10 of an inch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to help. A tenth of an
No,
inch
that
doesn't do
is
you any
not
good, really.
going to help at all. I
The
can't wait
The
to
only
see my
thing
water
that's
bill.
useful for is that it slows down the rate that you dry out. It doesn't really moisten things back up.
There was a tweet earlier though from National Weather Service GSP that really was highlighting the quote unquote relief we're going to get tomorrow because the humidity levels will just slightly be lower and the air will be slightly more tolerable. It'll only feel like it's maybe 93 or 95 as opposed to 105.
Here's the thing. It's been so dry that when you bring those dew points down, that makes the rate of drying faster and it speeds up the onset of drought. So if you are tired of it being dry and you don't want your vegetation to dry out anymore, you want the dew point to stay up, and you want to have to deal with the miserable humidity.
That makes sense. It's like it's the only relief that plants are getting is that moisture that's in the air.
Right. And it also does increase your chances of seeing a pop-up thunderstorm, even though they didn't happen today. It's pretty long. I don't think much of that will happen tomorrow either. Friday, once that tropical system gets going, that's when eastern parts of the Carolinas can get some rain. Maybe a few pop up in the mountains too, but few and far between, and not a whole lot of anything happening in between.
Remember when you're forecasting in a drought area, always go for the drier scenario.
Mm-hmm.
How pessimistic of you.
Well, it works.
It's true.
It works.
When in drought, continue forecasting for your drought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, the big weather news today wasn't here in the Carolinas. It was up in New York and portions of New England, where they were just getting pummeled by severe weather. What a strange severe weather outbreak that was happening in portions of New York today. I saw videos on X that made it look like it was Oklahoma, as like barns and buildings and things were being hit. Yeah, let me go. I finally got radar scope up here. You can still see at this hour now the aftermath, which is the persistent heavy rains that continue, but the flash flood warnings that are training across portions of Vermont, New Hampshire, and back into New York. And I mean, even portions of like back towards Rochester today, it was just a line of tornado warnings. I think I saw Daryl from IEM Bot was saying it was one of the biggest tornado watch boxes that the New York State's ever had. And I think somebody was trying to tally up whether or not it's the most active tornado warning simultaneously New York's ever had. I mean, it was littered up there, and that was so unusual for them.
And it's been a 3-day span of that. I mean, you look at when Beryl made landfall on Monday, all the tornado warnings over Louisiana and Texas. And then yesterday you had them in Indiana, Illinois, and then today up into the Northeast. So Beryl will be known for many things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Many things.
We might finally get that name retired.
Yeah, that
South
name
Carolina has actually had 2 bouts with storms named Beryl in the past, so we're okay with that name getting retired.
Yeah,
one of them was a big tornado outbreak back in the 95, I guess.
Yeah, it's been known for history making, and then you look at just the flooding that took place in Texas, and then you had the tornado outbreak over the last few days. It's been a very crazy system, and it's, oh my God, how long have we been talking about Beryl? I mean, it feels like it's been a month.
It does feel that way. I mean, it was pretty persistent over that holiday weekend, right? We were able to watch it for several days, even before it got to the Yucatan and became a major hurricane, just looking at it, not only from satellite imagery from the GOES satellites, but also the Hurricane Hunter aircraft that were flying, crisscrossing through it. Yeah, you're right. We had, I think it's a blessing, right? We had the tools and able to watch it and give people a heads up to help them hopefully prevent a potentially worse situation. Localizing this a bit, Duke Energy announcing tonight that they are on their way to help folks in Texas impacted by Beryl. Duke Energy has sent hundreds of crews to help out other utilities across the country.
Yeah, the power utilities in Texas kind of got caught flat-footed this time. I hate calling them out like that, but it's the truth.
What? You hate calling out the utilities of Texas? They have such a good track record.
Well, somebody's got to do it. They got caught flat-footed this time, and it's not good. It's in the wake of Beryl. It's really hot there. It's a million people are without electricity, without air conditioning. So
we just
it's
that
rough
Houston,
there right now.
the Houston area just continues year after year to just get
Yeah.
hit by all these different disasters. It's just hurricanes, flooding, the cold weather, the ice event. That's just not a fun time to
It's
be in.
been one
Kid, you're
thing
a
after another.
Houston meteorologist, whew.
Yeah. Barrel's first advisory was 5 p.m. Eastern on June 28th. So it's 10 days, or I'm sorry,
12.
14 days now.
Half a month.
Yeah. Half a month, yes.
What is math?
Yeah. Alrighty, well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll have more conversation on the weather coming up here in just a minute.
Have you ever seen what an indoor environmental assessment looks like in a commercial building or business? During a full assessment, we collect data throughout the building and compare the measurements room to room. We can also collect samples that go to a lab, such as the small cassette shown here, which will be analyzed for types and amounts of mold in the air. We follow up with a physical inspection, looking for moisture sources and using moisture meters to determine if any of your building materials are wet.
Go-esg.com or 336-373-1538.
Oh,
Yeah,
Phil
we're back.
is full there.
I know. Check out Bank of America Stadium from the weather stand
Man.
camera here in Charlotte. They've got an international soccer, or I guess I should say football competition.
Looks like
going on.
Columbia is up 1-0, 1-0.
Yeah. But it's a pretty hot night here in Charlotte to be outside yet again. But there you go. Folks are out there, and lots of tourists in town too. So maybe tomorrow they'll get some relief. So, Scotty, what's the story with your tan?
Yeah, the
Burn?
tan. Let me
I
tell
can't tell.
you.
I can't tell.
And I wore a hat today and everything, but the sun was ridiculous. We've had, as Frank can attest to, and you can too, James. I've seen you guys have several heat advisories issued over the last week or so. It was intense today. Heat. It was one of those days at the beach where it was like 93, 94, 95, but there was no wind. There was really no wind stirring. So it was just kind of that stagnant, hot, humid weather. I think at one point the heat index was up to 110. I think it got up to 115 earlier today in Florence.
It did,
Right,
115. It was
Yeah.
99. Temperature was 99, and the dew point was 70-7.
Yeah.
That's
was
even worse
hot.
than playing pickleball yesterday here in Columbia. It was like 94 over 78. And when I was done, it was like I had gone swimming rather than played pickleball. I was completely drenched with my own sweat.
I will say this: the golf course was nice today. They came around every few holes and gave you cold towels. It's been dipped in like ice water and like so that felt good, but whew, it was hot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow,
I was
James still
99
looks
in Florence
disgusted.
today. That was the
Yeah,
that
well,
was
I was
the
thinking
high.
about those dew points are just gross. Didn't we set a record recently for like one of the highest dew points we've had in a while? I know Charlotte set a record last night for, and I hate this phrase, the highest minimum temperature, or essentially to say it was too warm last night.
Yeah. We set a couple of heat records last week, 103 in Lumberton and Florence in our forecast area. A couple of times.
I feel like Brad said something about dew points the other day being like abnormally high or highest they've been in years. So it's been gross. It's been gross. You know that.
No, 78 dew points happen in Columbia and Charleston, and probably in Myrtle Beach sometimes too.
Yeah. At one point today,
a 99 temperature with a 77 dew point, that's pretty rough. That is rough right there.
That's nasty. I saw Brad's tweet earlier today. I think so far this year, this is the third hottest summer on record in Charlotte, I believe.
Yeah, Mulcahy crunched some number before. Oh, that was like the hottest start to Charlotte in years. I'm paraphrasing this badly. Hang on. Let me ask your weatherman on X. I've started calling it X. I gave in. That's a whole nother sidebar.
No.
I have good reason. Because the product that I know and love is Twitter is dead. I don't want to call this Twitter. Yeah, here's Mulcahy's. Let's see. This is the fourth hottest first 9 days of July in Charlotte history, and the hottest start to July in 12 years. The hottest start to July in Charlotte in 12 years. I think that's your key takeaway.
Yeah, and in fact, you probably crunched the numbers. It's been a while since Charlotte's surpassed 100 degrees, and I know you guys did last week.
We did. Oh, actually, that's if I scroll down one tweet.
744 days.
Just a mere 744 days, which is like up there with like the snow drought at this point too, I think.
Literally.
When's the last time it snowed? Yeah. Oh, it'll snow again.
744 days since your last 100-degree day, and 744 days since your last 1 inch of snow.
Yeah, that's okay. Hey, speaking of numbers, if anyone's paying really close attention, before we went on holiday break, we did episode. I'm sorry to bore you, Scotty, but numbers are important. I know numbers are important. Before we went on holiday break, if anybody was paying attention to the numbers, the last episode was episode 499, and this is episode 501. That was intentional.
What happened?
We're taking episode 500 from the feed, and we're sticking it in our pocket because we are working on something extra special for later this year to celebrate the 500th episode of the Carolina Weather Group, and we want to hold on to that number. So in a way, this is episode 500, but this is 501 as far as canon is concerned. And we will have a Carolina Weather Group episode 500 coming your way very soon. So if you're not subscribed, get subscribed, because we're going to go to one of the coolest places in the Carolinas that is not only unique, but is atmospheric science focused. And I don't want to say what it is, but it'd almost be fun just to watch people guess in the comments what would be a good place to go celebrate such an epic milestone of the Carolina Weather Group podcast. We will reveal it soon.
We get to play with some cool stuff.
Yes.
And just think, years and years, decades from now, all of our fans who will be looking back at these old episodes thinking, oh, let's tell you the story about how they made episode 500 happen 6 weeks after, or 7 or months even after.
Good things are worth waiting for.
Happened. and how that's the proper canonical order for Carolina Weather Group amongst our billions of fans.
It's like do you watch Star
Weather podcast that we had?
It's like, where do you start watching Star Wars? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, we've made some minor changes. This is like super minor, but now that it's episode 501, our background moves. The clouds
in motion.
Yeah. After 500 episodes, we've been able to afford going from this background to this background. It makes a difference. Mm-hmm. And if you want to help us afford other things, you could buy hats like these to support. Oh, that is like on my face. Mm-hmm. Apparently, after 500 episodes, we haven't figured out how to do that.
Also, Patreon.
That's right. You can support Carolina Weather Group. You can buy merch if you want something physical, or if you want to unlock early access, as Frank just mentioned, to episodes of the Carolina Weather Group whenever possible. We get them done. We post them at patreon.com/Carolina Weather Group. We'd love to have you on board. Also, by the way, and this is cool, you can go to patreon.com. You can support the show for just $1 and unlock extras for being a supporter. But if you can't give, but you want to stay in touch with us, you can actually make a free pledge that will essentially sign you up for our newsletter. So as we're posting episodes, you'll get them emailed to you into your inbox. And I thought that's kind of a really cool thing to mention. So that's another way that...
Someone scanned the QR code. Thank
you, someone. Thank you, someone. We'll have some hats like this. We'll have some stickers like these. If you guys want to come join us, we're going to be back out at the Shield Museum of Natural History in Gastonia, North Carolina on Saturday, July 20th for their annual weatherproof event. I'll be there. Frank will be there. Candace will be there because she works there and puts this awesome event on. Melissa is going to be there, right, Frank?
Yep, Melissa will be the official representative of the South Carolina State Climate Office. I will be there wearing a Carolina Weather Group hat and a State Climate, or DNR rather, shirt. So
he's wearing both hats.
I will be allowing you and Melissa to both get bathroom breaks when you need it.
Yes.
Because as we found out last year, we kind of need 2 people in each booth.
Yeah.
Because it's a steady stream of people from open to about 2 o'clock.
That's so true. So we would love for you to come out, hang out with us, see the museum. Gastonia, of course, just to the west of Charlotte. If you're coming a little bit further away, need your bearings there. But the weatherproof event, we've done this now, 3 or 4 years.
We did this before COVID.
That's why the COVID years are messing me up in terms of how many times we've done it. But we will have a
2018.
I think so, right? 2018,
Yeah.
2019.
So.
We'll have a green screen out there, so you or the kids or whoever can actually try being a broadcast meteorologist, just like Scotty Powell. You can come try that green screen when you join us at Weatherproof, July 20th, starting at 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. Shield Museum of Natural History in Gastonia, North Carolina.
Go visit.
I had one more thing, and this was actually about hats, and I meant to show it a minute ago, and I lost the tab, but I still want to show it, assuming I can find the tab again. You guys know I love trains.
Mm-hmm.
Frank knows this. We talk about it from time to time.
Mm-hmm. My son's kind of fans of trains too, since he works with Norfolk Southern.
Well, do you guys remember at the end of last year we had our Patreon supporter giveaway? I think we started it at last year's Shield weatherproof event, and then we wrapped it up towards the end of the year that if you were a Patreon member, we pull from the hat and somebody would win swag from the Carolina Weather Group. Well, that person was Steve Holmes. Steve received a copy of our hat along with some other swag, and he sent us this picture just the other day, guys. Take a look at this. It's
that makes James happy.
A well-worn Carolina Weather Group hat in front of Canadian Pacific Steam Locomotive 2816. So if we needed, I didn't ask for this lovely photo. He sent it, and it just further proves my theory that there is a Venn diagram overlap between weather nerds and train nerds. So if you haven't already, folks, we do have a Carolina Weather Group Rail Fan special just a couple episodes back in the feed where we went to Altoona, Pennsylvania for a horseshoe curve. You want to go check that out?
I've been there.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed my son enjoying it. He was like
That's fair.
8, 9 years old when we were there, so he had fun, which meant I was happy about it.
Yeah.
It's not something I would have done on my own, but my son liked it, so I enjoyed it.
I have a young son who likes trains, and I think I have to admit that I sometimes use him as an excuse. I'm here because he wants to be here.
Lies.
Yeah. It's a lot cuter when he's there. Fibber. I had one more thing. Do you guys want to play Outbreak with me at some point? Tim Pounds and I played. It's up on our YouTube channel now, and we can go virtually storm chasing. This is the game we had the developers on the show a couple times over the last couple years. Well, it's out now. You can play it. And we chased our first. Oh, hello, Ad.
Hey, she looks familiar.
Oh, does she? You knew who that was?
Yeah, that was Shannon Smith.
Oh,
is that something we can do at the Shield Museum next Saturday?
Play Outbreak. Oh, that's an interesting
play
idea.
Outbreak while we're there.
I'll have to think about that one. I don't know if I have the mobile computing power, but here it is. I think we should all play at some point. I think we should get some storm chasers. Get your Chris Jackson, Dan Whitakers, and see if they can virtually storm chase. But anyway, that's up on our Carolina Weather Group YouTube channel now.
We can't talk about storm chasing and virtual storm chasing without mentioning Twisters is coming out in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's right.
Who's excited?
Right.
If I had time to go to the movies, I would be.
That just occurred to me. I don't know if I have time because I'm buying a house. So you know how things can get busy when you're buying a house.
Well, I plan on going, so I will fill you in.
Want to go.
This guy's
I just don't know if I have time.
And I'm going to dissect this movie for all the inaccuracies. I'm that person.
Oh, we'll all be doing
that.
But actually, no. They had some really great folks. Rick Smith being one of the many folks who actually contributed to this. I think it's honestly going to be a very, very well put together movie that's very accurate.
I hope so.
Maybe not the flying cow. I don't know. The flying cows have to be in it, right? I mean,
there's got to be a certain amount of, right?
You have to bring the Flying Cows back. I mean, they have the Flying Cow Cafe in Norman, Oklahoma. You've got to have the Flying Cows.
Did you see that Nelson had a really good guess on where our 500th episode?
We were actually. Can we talk about the last?
No,
one?
well, we don't want to agree or disagree with any of the suggestions yet. I think people should still have a chance to guess. But Mount Mitchell and Frying Pan Light Tower are good suggestions.
Yeah, we could go ahead and say, I guess, that we almost did Frying Pan, but that's not what we did.
Yeah, it's
that's for show 600, 700,
1,000.
1,000.
We are very much.
We were this close, y'all. This close.
Yeah, we were. We almost did
needed a few. We needed a few things go our way, and we just couldn't get it to happen.
And by that they mean dollars. Not that we're going to be charged to go to Frying Pan Shoals, but we have to charter a boat.
And by a few, meaning thousands.
So
thousands.
The QR code for merch is on the screen again. If you want to see us go to Frying Pan Shoals, I'd take you all if we could.
Sure.
But that's a really good guess because we had that same thought. So good thinking. And yes, I mean we hope to get out there at some point, right?
One of these days.
Yeah.
We got to do it one of these days.
We were welcomed out.
I mean, when
Richard
we're invited
Neal
out,
rolled out the red carpet across the ocean, and we just got to figure out the logistics of getting there. That's all.
We got to get 30 miles out in the ocean. Anybody got a boat?
Ocean, like seaworthy boat, right?
Yeah. Either that, or we need to get Evan Fisher to take us up to Grandfather at a Northwest Flow snow event. Maybe we can do that for show 750.
We'll get a make it snow.
Except I'm not going to get as risky as Evan did. I think Evan's kind of toned it back a little bit. But man,
yeah, he did.
He's getting blown around. He's
he?
married now, so wifey's I don't know is going to let him. I don't know if wifey will let him have that. So, but yeah, that would be a fun thing. But we like James said, we got to get snow first.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Grandfather Mountain, we get snow every now and then.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we need to talk about?
Columbia's still up by 1.
Good.
Yeah.
Go Columbia.
And this is an international thing, so we're talking about the nation of Columbia, not
That's right.
the city named Columbia. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, you're correct. Thank you for clarifying that. And they've got 10 minutes left in regulation.
And speaking of, Mr. Panovich also tweeted out 1 month till NFL preseason football. Maybe we should have our friends back on from the fantasy football weather things.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, might have to reach out back to them.
Sounds like
All
another
right.
reason to hit that subscribe button.
That's right. All right, well, we'll wrap it up here. We want to thank you all for watching us tonight. If you get a little bit of rain this weekend, 2 thumbs up. If you don't, I'm sorry. We'll get it eventually.
Yeah, we're trying. We really are.
We are. We're trying to do the rain dance every night. It's just not got here yet. And my dog is now excited. So anyways, we hope you have a great evening. And thank you for watching. We'll be back here real soon here on the Carolina Weather.
Go help that pup.
Bye, y'all.